Welcome to this edition of PADNET Presents. I'm your host, Derek Simpson, and we're always proud to introduce guests that will inform, engage, and empower you. And on this particular edition of PADNET Presents, I'm really proud and honored to introduce someone that I'd like to call friend, but also more importantly these days, call our Mayor, the Honorable Dr. Robert Garcia. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, now we were just talking earlier, and I mentioned the fact that the last time you were here on the PADNET Presents set, it was during the election period, and fast forward now, a lot has happened in life since then, huh?
A lot of time. I think last time I was here was during a sort of campaign debate
Right.
forum that you had
Right.
with the two, myself and the other candidate that were, I think, the final two.
Right.
So it's been a while, but it's good to always be back, and it's been many months since. But a lot of really great things are happening in Long Beach, and really excited about the positive changes and also the challenges that we have.
Now, when I was preparing, because I didn't want to take for granted, even though we know each other, that I wasn't ready for this particular interview, one of the things that I read, that there's a new sense of excitement and optimism in Long Beach with you being the mayor. Is that something that you sense and feel as you're around the city?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple things. I think certainly anytime you have new leadership, and I think it's more than just obviously myself, but I think you have a large new council, you have a huge turnover in city management, so there's just a new energy, and I think a lot of new people in the city of Long Beach. I think people are generally excited about that. I also think one of the things that's been very beneficial is as there's been this transition, I think there's a national feeling of more optimism that's happened lately as well, so I think the combination of those two things has made it a good time for Long Beach. Anytime you have a new mayor, I think that it's hopefully an exciting time. You think about the last 2 decades, we've had 2 mayors over the last probably 20 years, and it's been Mayor Beverly O'Neill and Mayor Foster, and so we're entering a new kind of era, I think, for the city, and I'm excited to lead it, and it's been a good time.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned those two, because Mayor O'Neill still does a show here on PADNET, which we're really proud to be a part of. And she had one style of leadership, and then Mayor Foster had a totally different style. If you were to define your style, because I know leadership is something that's important to you in terms of a definition, how would you define your style of leadership?
Well, I respect actually both of their styles. I obviously had a chance to work with Mayor Foster as a member of the council, but I followed Mayor O'Neill very closely, and I think they both had kind of the right temperament and style for that time. Right. For me, I think I try to really focus on being positive. I think I view my role as being not just the chief executive of the city, but I'm also the chief ambassador for the city. Right. So I try to be very clear. I try to set goals very clearly for the community to see. I don't expect everyone to agree with me all the time, but I think that if you're positive, you respect people, and you stay true to kind of who you are, I think that's always been kind of my style. And I'm a big believer that you want to lead through kindness and through being good to others, and I think that all pays dividends. I think a lot of people like to lead, by being overly tough or being, overly generous, and I think for me is you just find the middle road, and I think that's being efficient, being goal-oriented, but also being kind and working with people.
And I think that comes through in terms of that respect, because then people want to reciprocate that in how they give back. I know, for instance, I remember getting a call. I think you were elected on a Tuesday, and like that Wednesday night, I hear, Derek, this is Robert. I'm like, Mayor?
Right.
He's like, what are you doing tomorrow? And I'm like, going to work.
Yeah, right.
And it was because you were announcing your transition team.
That's right.
And it was a very diverse group, and we were all able to give you our input, but why was that transition team important to you?
Well, it was very important. I actually look at that document often, and it's a document that's important for me because it really laid out what really my first year was going to look like. And if you remember, the recommendations and the focus was really on kind of job creation, education, sustainability, looking at citizen and civic engagement. I think we've done a lot in all of those areas, and it's nice to have a roadmap. I think that group was a great, diverse, thoughtful, really smart group of people that was great to bounce ideas off of and just to get input and to know that not just what we were working on and what was important to me was important to the community, but also to get new ideas.
When you think about then things that have occurred, I know one article I read was by LA Times and Slate.com, and it was talking about the whole the next Silicon Valley, and it mentioned that there were other cities that were on the verge of maybe becoming so, but Long Beach didn't happen to make that particular list. But you believe firmly that we are on that track, and share why you think that.
Well, I think first you have to look at growth at the whole county. So if you look county-wide, there's a huge growth in like the tech and innovation sector, and Long Beach is seeing that as well. I think that it hasn't been a priority of the cities as aggressively as it needs to be currently in the past. But now we're really looking at attracting kind of tech jobs, innovation jobs. And if you think about some of the companies that are succeeding, so whether it's Virgin Galactic that's moved in, there's a company called Intertrend that is a design, marketing kind of a brand company that's moved into downtown. There's other companies that are expanding, even a company like Gulfstream, which is aerospace, that's growing in jobs, or Mercedes-Benz. It's really about focusing on the kinds of jobs that are the future jobs. And I think we're going to attract good new jobs. The tech group is growing. We have a great group called Long Beach Tech in Long Beach, as you probably know. And I think that there's an opportunity there to really capture that. We really don't have a choice. Either we're going to grow in the technology sector, or we're not going to be part of the economy of the future. So that's something that we're committed to and we'll continue to focus on.
Now, we have to attract major investors, and we have to have stakeholders, I guess, 360 degrees, both from the community perspective and education, et cetera. Do you see all of that coming together and gelling the way you would like to see it?
I think a lot's has happened recently. It's been very encouraging. You have the university, I think, and the community college really focused on innovation. The community college held this great Innovate SoCal conference that brought together a lot of innovators. The university is having innovation challenges, and the city is doing the same thing. We restructured our city departments to really focus around innovation. We have a new Department of Technology and Innovation. We won this huge national Bloomberg grant that brings an innovation team to the city. They're now here in the city working on innovation. We have a new Technology and Innovation Commission. So I think we have all the pieces in place now to grow that part of the local economy. And quite frankly, organizations like PADNET and others are also part of the innovation economy. You're doing great work that's really about media and communication and innovation and all these sectors that are growing. And so I think it's all part of the larger piece. The interesting part is how do you also connect that to the university, our schools, and I think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I know that at a recent council meeting, the whole arts question came up, both from our arts organization here in the community, and then we had a lot of artists, and one of the particular speakers at the podium talked about the fact that it was important to teach youth in the community about editing and about that whole industry, the entertainment industry. And here at PADNET and Long Beach Community Action Partnership, we really try to focus there. But I know the arts really has a special place in your heart and mind in terms of its role in our community as well, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, no great international city exists without having a great cultural and arts environment and museums and institutions. And if you think about Long Beach, we have some very successful large institutions, whether it's the Museum of Latin American Art, Long Beach Art Museum, you have places like the Aquarium, which are also very cultural in nature, and smaller museums like the Pacific Islander Museum and others. But we also have tons of galleries and small artists that also need additional support. So I think the city's trying to figure out how we provide more support to artists and also to our schools. One of the things that's very sad is how a lot of arts programs have gone away in our schools, not just in Long Beach, but across the country. So how do we reestablish those and invest in those?
Yeah, I know that the schools, like you said, Cal State has new leadership, and you come from Long Beach City College and understand the leadership there. Do you see that blend of education and business is coming together nicely in terms of the innovative part of how the students can flow from education into the workplace, and the rest of us can support that?
Well, I've been very committed to launching this internship challenge and internship initiative that we have. As you probably know, Long Beach actually has an opportunity to grow the amount of internships that we have. We have not as many as we need. We really have to focus on getting more young people opportunities for work and for educational opportunities. Internships, the best internships either A, are paid for a young person, have a stipend, and or are connected to an educational experience inside the classroom. So we right now estimate there's about 1,500 of these internships available to high school students, early college students. We want to double that 1,500 to 3,000 in this first year, and I think we're going to meet that goal.
How do you, I know, like I was just talking to someone the other day about internships, for instance, and they were like, yeah, we'd like to take someone, but it takes a lot of energy for us to make sure that we bring that intern in and train them, and then by the time you get them up to speed, maybe they're moving on, et cetera. What can we do as a community to sort of dispel that concern and help make this vision that you have come true?
Well, I think that actually is, I hear that a lot, and it's actually more sometimes a concern that doesn't really bear out in the data.
Right.
And I think if you really look at what's happening with interns, if you organize an internship the right way, most businesses or nonprofits will tell you that they end up hiring a lot of the interns. Mm-hmm. And really it's an extended job interview for in a lot of cases. And so, listen, interns aren't for everyone. There's some organizations that, because of the way they're structured, it would be an additional burden for them or their small staff to have an intern. But there are a lot of organizations, I think, that view sometimes interns as a burden or a teaching moment, where really if you find the right person, the right connection is made, you can really have an experience not just for the intern, but really benefit your business or benefit your nonprofit. And we're working with the city to connect the right intern with the right opportunity.
And I think that's going to be the key to success, because you have that liaison between those two worlds to show them if it'll work, and if it does, how they can go about that. And I know you've been pitching this concept for quite some time, and you often use Boston, I believe it is, as an example of how they've been successful and how we might be. Can you share that?
Right. I mean, the city of Boston has 50,000 public school students, and 15,000 of them have internships. And Long Beach has 80,000 public school students, which is more, and 1,500 internships. So we have dramatically less, even though we have a larger population. So we have to look more like a Boston or like other cities that are out there to ensure that our students have that same opportunity. We also know that a lot of these students that don't have internships are also from some of our communities that have the biggest need. So if we can get those students a job, an educational opportunity, additional money so that they can support themselves, that goes a long way into helping the whole community be safer and more productive.
Absolutely. We're sharing ideas and thoughts with Mayor Robert Garcia on PADNET Presents. After this break, we're going to come back and dive a little bit deeper in some other ideas that the mayor has to share. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Deborah. Are you tired of coming home to an empty, lonely house? Why not try Animal Match Rescue Team? We are a small dog rescue group in Long Beach. AMRT is looking for loving homes and has a variety of small dogs to choose from. Just come to Petco, 6500 PCH any weekend from 11 to 2 to see just a few of our little dogs. To find out how you could adopt, foster, volunteer, or donate, go to amrt.net. 100% of all proceeds go to our animals. Right, Pearl? You'll be glad you did.
Artful Thinking is a Long Beach-based nonprofit founded in 2010 to create artful events that educate the public about HIV and breast cancer while raising funds to support those services. Since then, we have brought Long Beach 2 successful comedy nights with Paula Poundstone and the monthly film series Out at the Movies, which featured appearances by Lily Tomlin as well as others. Beneficiaries include the Woman to Woman campaign in Long Beach, the Christina Applegate Foundation, St. Mary's Hospital's CARE program, the AIDS Assistance Foundation, the AIDS Food Store. Contact us at info@artfulthinking.org. Thank you.
I like the variety. One day we could be working on filming a TV show, talk show here in the studio. Other days we could be taking some of the equipment out in the field and filming something out there. We could be editing.
It's been cool to work in the studio and all that and learning about lighting, audio, and camera work. I think that working for PADNET or being an intern has been really great. If you're looking for an internship, PADNET would be a great place to start.
Welcome back to PADNET Presents. I'm Derek J. Simpson, Executive Director of the Long Beach Community Action Partnership and here at PADNET TV. And we're very excited about the conversation we're having because we're joined by Mayor Dr. Robert Garcia and sharing a lot of different ideas. But Mayor, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the subject of poverty, because that's something that I know you are familiar with in terms of your experiences in life, and that it's our mission. It's to help families move from poverty to self-sufficiency. So when you think about that issue in Long Beach, what can we do collectively? We've talked about all the great things that are coming this way, but in terms of addressing the issue of poverty, what are some of your thoughts on that in our community?
Yeah, I mean, I think that first you have to recognize where poverty is and where it isn't, and what really, what does the population that's going through this experience actually look like? And so we know that in Long Beach, we have about a 20% poverty rate citywide. That is not dramatically different than other parts of the county or Los Angeles. But we also know that this poverty is also really concentrated in central Long Beach. Now, we do have poverty certainly in West Long Beach. We do certainly have some poverty in North Long Beach. But when you look at what federal designations, you have the largest density of people experiencing going through poverty in the mid part of the city. If you look and carve out just the mid part of the city, you're talking about probably close to a 40% poverty rate in central Long Beach. And so that is where the challenge really is. If we're going to make a big dent into that poverty number, we have to make big investments in central Long Beach. And so what does that look like? I mean, it looks like ensuring that there's access to park space. It's also the area of the city that has the least amount of access to parks and play areas. It's a part of the city that has the least amount of programming in many cases at parks that are available. We've got to make sure that there's pipelines to education so that they have access to these internships, so they have access to all sorts of educational opportunities. So those are some of the ways that we're working to provide more opportunities. There's job training issues. There's ensuring that people have access to good jobs that actually can pay them a living wage. So those are things we're looking at, but there's obviously a lot of work to do. It's a lot of community support and face support.
Right. When you talk about community support, I know that many of us in the community are very supportive of your vision, but what would you say that, if you could speak to the community, what would you like to see maybe more of or a little bit differently in terms of us either as nonprofit agencies or Joe Citizen or Mary Citizen who might be watching this particular program? How can we, because some people get kind of jaded, it's like, oh, my vote or my opinion won't make much difference, but I know that's not true. What would you say to that?
For me, I think it's recognizing that no matter where you live in Long Beach, that the poverty rate in central Long Beach should matter to you. Right. So I think that, for example, if you are a family that lives at El Dorado Park Estates, or if you're a family that lives at the Virginia Country Club, or maybe you're like me and you live in a pretty nice neighborhood in downtown, I think that while we may have a strong sense of neighborhood and security, I think it's really important that we think about our neighbors are not just the folks that live down the street. Right. Our neighbors are also the people in our community that are making choices between health care and food and child care and whether or not they have enough money to get by on rent that month. And so we have to think a little bit about how, as a larger civic community, do we help these people? How do we help these members of our community? And I think that is something that I hope we spread throughout the city. I think that most people, no matter where you live in Long Beach, I think you care about helping the poor. Most people are involved in civic groups or philanthropy groups, but how do we now strategically take that interest and that care and really focus it on in a data-driven way on really assisting those that need the most support? Right. And I think that's a big challenge, but I think we're really working on that by bringing attention to the need.
Yeah, I use the analogy, having gone through cancer, in recent years, that my bladder couldn't tell my heart, it's the bladder. We're not worried about you. It's one part impacts all the body. So one community in our city, it impacts the entire city if we're not mindful of how that continues to be a major issue. And when I think about, you talked about looking out for each other, there's a major initiative at the White House entitled My Brother's Keeper. I know at a recent council meeting, Councilman Richardson and others introduced the PATH initiative. But let's start at the White House, because your spectrum of influence now has gone outside the boundaries of Long Beach. You had a trip to the White House. Tell us how that went.
Right. No, I've had the good fortune of going to the White House on a few occasions. certainly I've gone as mayor now, I think twice, and
Wow.
it's been a great experience to represent Long Beach. Obviously, this last time I went, I did have a chance to have a brief conversation with the president, and shared with him that we are really committed to this idea of meeting his challenge when it comes to veteran homelessness, meeting the economic challenges that he sees for the country, and also supporting his initiatives. We have a very good relationship with the White House and with the executive branch. We work on a lot of their initiatives, whether it's their kind of healthy, Let's Move initiatives, My Brother's Keeper, which is important to the White House, also some of the technology and innovation initiatives, and of course the Veteran Homelessness Initiative.
Right.
On My Brother's Keeper specifically, because I know you mentioned that, what we recognize in Long Beach is that if you look at the population that still has the least amount of access to jobs or a healthy community, or really has needs support when it comes to the criminal justice system, you are still predominantly looking at African American young men, and in some cases Latino young men. And because our community also has a larger population of low-income Cambodians, you're also looking at some Southeast Asian young. This is a population that's something that's difficult to talk about, but they don't have the same access to services and or opportunity for a variety of reasons, socioeconomic, criminal justice issues that they may have had. And so what we have to figure out is, instead of saying, well, there's one prescription for every community or every person, maybe this community needs a different prescription. But we need to have additional support so that we can ensure that these young men become productive members of society. We recognizing that, we have immigrant populations that might have a different need. We have cultural differences, language differences. Right. So I think what My Brother's Keeper is about is about how do we focus on kind of young men that need additional support from the government, and really put them and help them put themselves on a path to success. That's really what the program's about, and we're really committed to that.
And Tracy Kalunga is heading that up, I believe, at the city. So we'll be hearing more from her, in the community. So we're all looking forward to that, because we really believe strongly that that's something important. As you talk about everything, Mayor, that you have going on, you can't do it alone. Naturally, you need the support of the city council. And just like we have a new mayor, we have predominantly an entirely new city council. How's that experience been working with your new council?
It's been great. I think that we have a brand new council. I think it's 6 new council members. Right. It's great. They're a great group of people. They love Long Beach. They're from all sorts of walks of life and all parts of the city, obviously. But I actually have to say we get along very well. Yeah. I think this is probably the council that I've seen in a long time that actually gets along very well. Not just personally. I think we're actually all friends. We are friends socially, but also, most importantly, I think we're very respectful colleagues. And we all know that we're not going to agree on every single issue, but I think we can disagree respectfully, and then we can come together when there's moments that we all are passionate about or that believe in. I think we're focused, for example, on being financially responsible. We're focused on economic development. We're focused on technology and innovation. We're focused on finding opportunities for young people. And those are things, I think, that cross districts and cross opinions.
It's funny you say that, because I know there was, in the spring of 2015, a wedding of one of the city employees, and at that wedding, I think most of the council might have been there, and it was like you said, it was friends. Everybody was laughing and talking, and at some points dancing, and just really enjoying themselves.
Having some wine.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, they had a few glasses, and so but it was a fun evening. It was, from the outside looking in, I think we just do what we do. You do what you do as mayor because you just get in that groove, and I do it as executive director, and other people, don't really know what it takes to make that happen. I can't presume to know what it takes to be mayor. I know we were just talking earlier, your life's not your own anymore.
That's true.
You're pulled in all these directions. But when you have a team, that makes all the difference in the world. And it's clear that, as you said, you can respectfully disagree, and that team effort seems to come through to the community. So I'm sure that you're proud of that.
Very proud of it. I always say, Team Long Beach. I call them Team Long Beach, and Team Long Beach includes not just the council, but it includes our city attorney and our prosecutor and our auditor, and this is really the team, and we're out there every day making sure that Long Beach is the best place to live.
You get asked lots of questions every day. What is maybe one or two questions that you wish, they're asking me all this other stuff, but I really wish they understood this. What would be that something that comes to mind where you wish people really understood a little differently?
Well, I think that sometimes, people assume, when I'm out, it's sometimes difficult because I will be, I never stop being mayor, and I think that's something that sometimes it's hard for people to, to wrap their heads around. But for me, I've had to really adjust to really being mayor all the time. And so people always ask, what do I do in my free time? What do you
What free time,
right? I know. My life at this point really revolves around about being mayor, and I find myself even reading what I read now. I'm always been a big reader. Mm-hmm. Now I read a lot more about like cities and and other things. So I think one thing I get asked a lot about it is do you have free time? And I do, right? What I try to do is I try to on occasion is like take a day and not schedule anything that day. So I really try every other week to like take a Sunday or a Saturday and just clear the day and spend the day at home or spend the day out, with my partner or whatever it is. Now it doesn't mean that I take Saturday off and I'm not getting messages and I'm not in contact with the police if there's an issue, but it does mean that I'm not tied to a calendar. I try to get away and do something productive and recharge.
Well, we only have a few seconds left, and I just want you to know how much we at PADNET appreciate you taking out the time this day to be here with us. Know that we're here for you to always get the message out about the great things that you are doing or the vision that you have that you want us as a community to get involved with, because we're all on Team Long Beach and we are proud of you as our mayor. Thank you for coming, and thank you guys for tuning in again to watch us here on PADNET Presents. Our mayor, Dr. Robert Garcia, we're very proud to have him with us, and we're proud to have you as a loyal viewer of our program. See you next time.